Oh my God. Hello. My name is Reverend Barbara, and this is step 3 and the impact of faith. And today is Saturday, the 12th of March. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for taking the time to watch my Lessons with Barbara, Lessons with Reverend Barbara. I'm on every other Saturday between the hours of 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern and 3 till 4 p.m. on the West Coast. Okay? And I have so many windows up, I'm trying to close them down. All right, here they are. Okay. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And as I said, today is Saturday, the 12th of March. Today we are going to be looking at faith. The intention and personal mission is to introduce spiritual principles which are basic and fundamental that can be applied to our daily life. When we are willing, the operative word is willing. When we are willing to work the principles, we will begin to experience an optimistic outlook on life, on feelings of improved motivation, and a more grounded experience. Now, I have slides here, and I really want to share my slides, screen share. I have screen share up. So what I'm trying to do is to share the the what do you call them? Well, you know what I'll do? I'll do it after. What I will do is I will just remain focused and then do um, the PowerPoint presentation after, because I really need to stay focused here. Okay, let's do the prayer. Okay, we can always use prayer. There is only one power and one presence, one divine love, one source of all there is. God, the good omnipotent. There is only one love, one light, and this day we are presenting the step 3, and those that have an ear, let them hear. I am calm, I am poised, I am relaxed. I am calm, I am poised, I am relaxed. I am calm, I am poised, I am relaxed. I love that I'm here and I love what I'm doing. I love I love service work and I love all that I'm doing. And I present this message to those that have the ear. The affirmation: I am calm, I am poised, I am relaxed. I send my word up to the universe. I send my word up to the source of all there is. I send my word up to God, knowing that my word will not be rescinded. My word will not be returned void. And in the very name, nature, and power, in the name of all there is, I am grateful that you hear me now. Again, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for being a part of the class, Lessons with Reverend Barbara. Um, there will be a question and answer period. Okay? Yes, there will be. Okay, so faith. To you, what is faith? What is faith? have there ever been a situation or a time in your life when you needed to practice faith, or you were not cool, calm, and collected, and you like went off like like if you have dust in your hand, and this is you, and the dust is you, or the dust is me, and the dust is just sitting there nice, cool, calm, and collected, unsettled, just settled. And so then a wind comes along, and then my faith is all over the place. Okay? So have you ever been in a situation where faith, if you held on to your faith, then then you would know that all is already worked out? Well, let me tell you something. There's an acronym for faith, and the F stands for, because faith is FAITH. Faith. The F, forwarding. A, all. I, issues. T, to. H, heaven. Forwarding all issues to heaven. It's like you have a phone, and instead of the phone calls coming into you, you decided you're going to forward your phone calls and your phone messages to another number, or you will forward your emails to another email. So when we are in the middle of a situation, then we forward all issues to heaven. Okay? All of them. Not some, but all. Today, we are looking at step three. Step three is made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. That's the traditional. Okay. I have another one that's that works for me. And it is, there is a power greater than I am, and I trust it. There is a power greater than I am, and I trust it. Today's focus of the law, we're going to be focusing on a law. We will focus on the steps principle. We'll focus on the spiritual gift. And then we'll focus on the book of James, first chapter 26 verse, as well as second James verses 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24, and 26. As far as the law is concerned, the focus will be on the law of action. The principle and the spiritual gift will be faith. Okay? So there are 12 spiritual gifts. Those of us that are into the spiritual gifts, there are 12 of them. Let me see if I can recite them. There is, okay, faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, love, no. Faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, willingness, understanding, divine order, enthusiasm, elimination, and life. There are 12 spiritual powers, separate and apart from the 12 principles of the 12-step groups. Okay, so again, the focus is the law of action. The steps principle is faith, as well as the gift is faith. Okay, let us move forward. We have explored thus far 2 of the 12 steps. The first one was admitted that we're powerless, and that our lives are unmanageable. The principle is honesty. Okay, honesty. It's very important to be honest, especially with oneself. Okay, so powerlessness over people, places, and things, um, powerless over negative thoughts, And remember, negative thoughts can be cunning, they can be baffling, and they can be powerful if you allow them to be. Okay. Step two is hope. Okay. The principle of step two is hope. Came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore us to sanity. Here we are today at step three, making a decision. Making a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand Him. That is the exact verbatim wording of that step. Nothing cures fear faster than action. If you're afraid of anything, whatever, uh, if you have, if you're usually in a calm state and something comes up, a situation comes up, and it may throw me for a loop for a minute, then it's time for me to walk my talk. That applies to all of us. Situations come up, we're cool, calm, and collected, and then out of nowhere, boom, we're all over the place. All right? So that is the time to practice the presence. Practice what we talk. Practice what we know to be the truth, that we are one with the source of all there is. So the law of action is one of the most overlooked universal laws, stating that you must take action to get what you desire. But few of us talk about this, and few of us realize that we must act on these thoughts and feelings. Just because we have a thought, well, because I have a thought does not necessarily mean that I'm going to act on the thought. Okay? A negative example would be those that are in recovery, and you have a thought that you want to go out and use or whatever. Well, you don't excuse me, you don't have to act on that thought just because you're thinking of it. All right. But then flipping it over to something positive, if you have a thought that you want to make a cake or you want to make a salad or you want to return to school or whatever, then that takes action. If we never transfer the thought into action, then it will always remain in our mind and our brain as a thought. We must take we must take action to receive the desire. Okay? Excuse me. And in order to make that happen, we must take a leap. We must take the leap of faith. Excuse me for a minute. I don't know how this happened, but anyway. This is what they teach us in school. If you're going to do public speaking, the first thing you need to do is always have your water. Excuse me. Remember, you cannot bring what you want into being without taking action. All right. Now we're about to have summer. The no more snow. Hopefully, the birds are chirping. The tulips are trying to come out. Now, when you walk into the stores, the grocery stores, you see patio furniture all over the place. Beautiful patio furniture. Some of it has canopies, and some of it don't have canopies, but that's okay. I like the ones with the canopies. They're very nice. They almost look like a living room. Almost. I saw this one. If I might digress for a minute, I saw this one with an outdoor heater. The outdoor heater is an outdoor fireplace. It's in a circle, and then in the middle of the circle, they had rocks, but you can put charcoal, and like you could put like a little screen over it. You can do things with it, right? So I'm saying that to say that if we want patio furniture, we can walk into the store and we can stand and look at it and we can sit down on the patio furniture and oh, that looks nice. Oh, I'd like to have it in my yard. Oh, I'd like to have it on my patio, yada, yada, yada. But until we go out and buy it and have it delivered, then it will only be a thought in our mind. Okay? It would only be a thought. All right. First the thought, then the action. Okay? Without action, these are merely daydreams. And it is okay to have a daydream. Just make sure that you want to bring your daydream to life. Now, you may not know every action to take to reach your desired result, but if you start moving in the right direction of your desires, then the doors will open to start to open, and they will open for you, but you must first take the first step. When the door opens, don't just stand there and say, "Oh, the door's open. What do I do?" Well, you had the idea in your mind that you wanted to pursue something. So, okay, you used your gift of imagination, and now the door's open. So all you have to do now is just walk through the door. Do not be afraid. Well, I can't say don't be afraid, because anytime you're practicing something new or new behavior, naturally you're going to be afraid. That's just part of the package. But you feel the fear and move forward anyway. Okay? It's better to try and fail than to not try at all. Usually, if you try, you have a better success rate at success and passing, as opposed to not trying whatsoever, not trying at all. So you may not know every action to take to reach your desired result, but if you start moving in the right direction and you are willing to follow your instincts, and you know you've already meditated, and you've already journaled, and you've already sat down, and you thought it through, okay, then you know you must take the first step, take the first move. No matter how small the movement is, no matter how small the baby step is, move forward. If you don't take the first step, you will never ever have the success. If you don't take the first step, you may find yourself living in regret. Okay? You don't want to do that. Okay? So never be afraid to take the first step or the second step. And when you do take these steps, then if you don't take these steps, then your desires will forever be, as I said, in your mind. Now, having the desires in your mind is a good thing, but you don't want them to remain there. You want them to move into the manifested area. You want them to move from the unseen to the seen. All right, that which is that which is seen is temporary, and that which is not seen is forever. So the thoughts are forever, but you want them to at least be seen while you are here on this realm. How do you know if you're taking the right action? Okay, how do you know that? Out of all of the directions, you have north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. How do you know which direction to go? You follow your instinct. It's very simple. You follow your intuition. And the only way you're going to do that, quite frankly, is to become willing. Okay, we'll use one of the spiritual gifts, willing, and we'll use one of the principles of the steps, willing to practice the presence, to become quiet, become still, go into the closet, close the door, and just be quiet. Just be. And listen for the voice. The voice is there. No, I'm not talking about hearing voices. No, I'm talking about intuitive, inside, built in guidance from God, from your higher power, from the source of all there is, spirit, energy, the loop, whatever you want to call it. It's there waiting for us to come and talk to it. Okay? It's waiting for us to come to present what it is we want. However, the greater gain for going is to listen, to commune. When was the last time you sat down and actually communed with your higher power? When was the last time you actually sat down? You didn't even have to be home. You could be in a park and or next look at the water and just or look at the stars. When was the last time you were in awe of the majesty around you? When? You will know what direction you're going to. You just have to have faith and listen to your God consciousness. Listen to your higher power. Listen to your spirit parent. Listen to the source of all there is. Listen. Okay? You will never gain understanding until you listen. Okay. Not every step will be the right step, but every step in the direction of your desires will get you that much closer. Remember, no step is no movement, and no movement is not a good thing. Okay? Remember, you end up living in regret with no movement. Okay? You may stumble along the way, but if you keep moving forward and continue to take action, you will come out on top. Yes, you will. From the book of James, second chapter, verse 22, New Revised Standard Version. First of all, I want to say something. The first time I read this verse, um, it's not well. It didn't really make any sense to me. Okay, and this is how it reads in the New Revised Standard Version. You see that faith was active along with his works, and faith was brought to completion by the works. It didn't make sense to me at the time. Okay. Oh, I read it so many times, and I read it, and then that's the New Revised Standard Version, and then I read the Aramaic version in English, and then I read the Strong's version, and I think the one that made sense to me the most, that it finally kicked in, was the following version, which is the Interlinear Analyzer version, where it reads, you are observing that faith worked together with his works, and by works was faith perfected. Let me say that again. This is James 22, Interlinear Analyzer. You are observing that faith worked together with his works, and by works was faith perfected. Okay? The following excerpts are taken from the Life Recovery Bible. I meant to bring that in here. The Life Recovery Bible, the New Living Translation. That particular Bible is used in the recovery community. That particular Bible. So chapter 1, verse 26 has to do with listening and doing. Okay. James 1:26. If you claim to be spiritual, but do not control your tongue, you are just fooling yourself, and your spiritual practice is worthless. It's right here. Right here. It's very powerful. If this is not controlled, and if this is not maintained, okay, and if you're not surrounded by positive folk, and you don't have it, if your head is not in the game, then this will reflect that your head is not in the game. Okay. I know for me, when my head is not in the game, anything's going to come out. So my head must always be in the game. If you claim to be spiritual, but don't control your tongue, you are just fooling yourself, and your spiritual practice is worthless. James, as we know, was Jesus's half brother. Jesus, his mother was Mary, and James' mother was Mary. However, Jesus's father was Spirit, and James' father was Joseph. Jesus' father was uh, Yohevah, or Yahweh, God, Spirit. So Jesus was the man part of him we could all see, but then he had a Christ consciousness and an anointing side of him. Well, not an anointing side of him. He was the anointed one. All right. So a lot of what James had the opportunity to be around his brother Jesus. So James had a lot of faith. Had a lot of faith. A lot of faith. You think Peter had faith? James had faith. Okay. So now, when you talk about spiritual practices, spiritual principles, those of you which may work one of the 12 spiritual powers, that's a spiritual practice. Some of you may work the steps, that's a spiritual practice. Some of you read if you're Muslim, you have your spiritual practices. Native American, just close your eyes and just pick a spiritual practice. There's a principle that applies to your spiritual practice. With that principle that comes with your spiritual practice, work the principle. Okay? Just work the principle. You will see a tremendous change in your life just by working your principle. I saw a tremendous change in my life within the last 12 hours. Okay? Just 12 hours. Why is that, Barbara? Because I work the principles. When I don't work the principles, then I'm everywhere. And you don't want to be everywhere. When I do this, it's the dust. It's like everything's okay, nice and calm, and then a wind blows, and then there's no more calm. Like when we had Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy was mayhem up here. When I lived in Florida, we had Hurricane Andrew, mayhem down there. So those are physical hurricanes, but there are times when we have spiritual. Could I call them spiritual hurricanes? No. Well, yeah, I could call them spiritual hurricanes. That's because of the depletion of the spirituality that I'm not working. That's because I'm not working my spiritual program or my spiritual regimen to the point where mayhem ensues. So since I don't want any mayhem to ensue, then I will work my spiritual practice, my principles, or the 12 steps, or the 12 powers. Whatever is my spiritual practice, work it. It works if you work it. Okay. Even if you have your own spiritual practice, your own thing, you light a candle, okay, and just sit and just watch the candle. Watch the flame on the candle. Just concentrate on that. I'm not Catholic, but I walked into Catholic chapels. They're very calming. Very calming. They have the statues, and they have the archways, and they have the candles. All of the candles are lit, and some of them have incense burning. Very quiet. I love going in the chapel. They're very quiet. You should try it sometime. They're very quiet. Okay. Okay, so now the following excerpts are from the book of James, chapter 2. And as I said earlier, 10, 11, these are verses, 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24, and 26. Okay. The first is a warning against prejudice. Okay. Remember now, this is coming from the Recovery Bible, the Life Recovery Bible. 10. A person who keeps all of the laws except one is as guilty as the person which breaks all of the laws. I'll show you why that is in a second. And I've got slides for it too. Please let them work later. Um, okay, I'm to comment on the fact. Okay. All right, now, how can I put this? In doing my research, I found that the commandments that are written in Hebrew are not in the same order that they are in Christianity. I didn't know that. I'll just sit here and admit. I thought that I just thought that all 10 were in the same order. Like in Hebrew, whatever number one would be in Christianity and Catholicism, naturally number one would be the same one, would be the same wording, but it's a totally different um, command or edict. Okay, so what I realized here, I'm waiting for it to come up. I'm waiting for it to come up. Okay, so while I'm here it is. So let me show you, for example, uh, the Hebrew. Come on, what's taking you so long? Any other time, you'd be jolly on the spot. What's the problem? Here we are. Okay, let's do this one. Come on, be nice. Everything is in divine order. Is that not right? Everything is in divine order. So let's take it over here. Thank God I always have a backup. Okay. For example, I'm ahead of myself, but when I got on the part about the commandments, I found that very, very interesting. That they are not worded in the very same order. I found that to be very, very interesting. So now I can't find it, so that's okay. The good news is that I will come to it. That's the good news. So just maybe that's why, because I need to stay focused. All right, so if a person doesn't keep one command or edict, also known as a commandment, if you broke one, you broke them all. If you steal something, it's the same as killing. If you tell a lie, it's the same as stealing. If you lust after someone, it's the same as murder. All right? So, for example, the very same law that states do not commit murder is the same law which expects us to not commit adultery. If you broke one law, you broke them all. Why? Because it's all law. There's no exemptions. There's no exempting. Okay. Now, listening and doing. We're still in chapter 1 of James. Hold on. This is James 1:26. If you claim to be spiritual, but do not control your tongue, you are just fooling yourself, and your spiritual practice is worthless. Okay. Did I already go through this? Okay. Hold on. The law does not recognize exemptions. Only the Internal Revenue does. There is no out clause when you're talking about the law. You're talking about universal law. Talking about God, karma, what goes around comes around, all of that. Okay. There's no out clause. There's no amendment. There's no under special circumstances. There's no special cases. When one is in direct violation of a universal law with consequences attached, then the law has been tampered with. Now understand, I gave it a long name. It's not, for me, it's not universal law. Reverend Barber has changed the game. All right. So now it's universal law with consequences. Universal law with consequences. If you break one law, you just broke them all. All right. It's like driving without a license. Well, there's a lot that will be taken away from you if you're driving without a license. Is that not right? You've lost your driver's license. You've lost your tag. You've lost your car. You've lost your insurance. You have points coming off. You might go to jail. Okay, you've got to pay fines. There's a lot involved, right? Consequences. Law with consequences. So universal law with consequences. That's an entire phrase. That's an entire law. All right. Direct violation if it is broken. Okay. For what reason, for whatever reason, the Ten Commandments or edicts are aligned differently. I have on the screen that you're about to see in a few minutes. On your screen, on the left is Hebrew version, and on the right is a Christian version. So, for example, the Christian version, number one, thou shalt have no other God before me. Two, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Number three, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Number four, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Number five, honor thy father and thy mother. I find it curious that they're all numbered in Roman numbers. Number six, thou shalt not kill. Number seven, thou shalt not commit adultery. Number eight, thou shalt not steal. Number nine, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And number 10, thou shalt not covet. Now, the following is how the Hebrew has it outlined. Number one, you shall not murder. Number two, you shall not commit adultery. Number three, you shall not steal. Number four, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Number five, you shall not covet anything that is your neighbor's. Number six, you shall have no other gods before me. Seven, you shall not make unto yourself any graven image. Eight, you shall not take the name of, and then it's in Hebrew, your God in vain. So I would read it as, you shall not take the name Yehovah or Jehovah, your God, in vain. And I find it curious that it's worded that way because your God in vain. But I'm not going there. Just let me keep reading. Number 9, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And 10, honor your father and your mother. So they're there, but they're in different lines of order. So Christian has an order and the Hebrew has an order. And how that happened, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask Dr. Will Coleman, why is that? Why is it that way? He would know. Okay. And when you read the commandments, it seems as though that they are separate sentences, but they're all one concept, taking action. Okay. And if you take negative action, then there's going to be consequences. So if you take positive action, then you're going to have positive consequences because you are in alignment with the law. You're not riding around here without a driver's license. You have your driver's license. You have your car insurance. You have a car seat in the back for your children. You have all kinds of insurance. So if somebody hit your car or you hit someone else's car, your car is covered and their car is covered. I mean, you have everything is in order. So you have to worry about no negative action. Okay? All right. I hope I'm explaining this. Now, faith without good deeds is dead. James 2:17. 17. This is interesting. Especially, I think it's the 20th verse. Oh, I love the 20th verse. Wait, 17. So you see, it isn't enough just to have faith. Faith that does not show itself by good deeds is no faith at all. It is dead and useless. Verse 18. Now, someone may argue that some people have faith, others have good deeds. Some people have faith and others have good deeds. James says, I say, I can't see your faith if you do not have good deeds, but I will show you my faith through my good deeds. His brother taught him, his half brother taught him very well. Verse 20, you fool. This is James talking. You fool. When will you ever learn that faith does not result in good deeds is useless? Faith that does not result in good deeds is worthless. You understand? Individuals want to rob a bank and they have the faith and thinking that they're going to be able to go in and rob that bank. But the deeds are dirty. Individuals that want to go out to Reno and Las Vegas or this other place over Foxwoods. I love the places. I've never been there, but I heard nothing but great things about the place. What's your intention for being in? If you want to go in there and see a show, fine. I didn't see anything on the commandments about gambling, but the master teacher, he didn't like gambling, but then he didn't mind. He didn't like it because they were in the temple. Okay. But, you fool, when will you ever learn that faith does not result in good deeds is useless? When you're going to get that? Okay. This is Jesus' brother. All right. James, the master teacher's brother. Verse 21 has to do with Abraham. All right. Now, Abraham, he was a faithful man. Hold on. How many of you noticed that this is blue? That my container is blue. How many of you noticed that? Any of you noticed that? That's my powder puff. Abraham had a lot of faith. And he had a lot of faith in the God of his understanding. So much faith that he was willing to sacrifice his little son, Isaac. Now, what happened, the way I understand the story was, little Isaac, Abraham sat Isaac down and said, okay, well, you're going to be a sacrifice. I don't know whether little Isaac understood what a sacrifice was, or Isaac, I guess he must have thought that it was all a game. Anyway, Isaac had made a barbecue pit. This is the way the story was explained to me. Okay. Isaac made a barbecue pit. And he had a stick that about, as long as the little boy was. I guess by today's standards, it would be considered child abuse, but just go with me on the story. So then Isaac had some rocks down there, and he was getting ready to barbecue, in essence, his little boy. And so he was striking the flint, because they didn't have matches, and they didn't have cigarette lighters. So he's striking. He's striking. He's striking. Finally, there was a spark. And just as Abraham was about to light the barbecue pit and start rotisserie the little boy, Spirit said, stop. Your faith has made you whole. Now, he may not, Spirit may not have said those exact words, but that's what it meant. Your faith makes you whole. Okay? So, trusting God, Abraham was trusting God so much that he was willing to do whatever God told him to do. Abraham's faith was made complete by what he did, by his actions. Okay? Actions speak louder than words. Verse 24, we are made right with the law of action. We are made right with the law by action and not by faith alone. Okay? Verse 26, just as the body is dead without spirit, so is faith dead without good deeds. Okay? Step 3 is like opening of a locked door. I have 13 minutes. Step 3 is like opening of a locked door. How do we let God into our lives? Willingness to turn our will over to the care of our higher power. Willingness is the key. The door is bolted shut. It has a padlock on it. And I don't care how many keys you have on your ring. If none of those keys is not willingness, that lock will never open. What does the word faith mean to you? What does faith have to do with reliance? When you play this video again, then you have a pencil and paper and you write down, what does faith mean to you? I could tell you what it means to me, but the question is not, what does it mean to me? The question is, what does faith mean to you? And what does faith, in your opinion, what does faith have to do with reliance? Reliance means you depend upon, okay, to depend. Not depend or like in leaning on or always expecting someone to bail you out. Reliance like you have an expectation that there's always going to be coverage. Okay, rely. What does it mean to you to make a decision? And how do you know if you made the right one? Well, I kind of alluded to that when I said you listen to the still small voice. Okay. What do you think it means to turn your will and your life over to the care of God? What does that mean to you? Okay. Just questions to think about. Are you willing to turn your will and life over now? And if not, what do you feel is preventing you from doing that? Do you have a concept of a higher power? Okay. If so, how did you come about your concept of a higher power? Okay. When I was growing up, um, well, when I was growing up, as far as a higher power was concerned, I was taught that a higher power, that God was in the sky, and that God was um, keeping score. And if I didn't do the right thing, then God was going to get me. Okay. Well, I was just a child, and just like I believed in Santa Claus, just like I believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the fairy godmother, then I believed that that there was someone up there that was going to get me, and that was always angry and was judgmental. That's what I believed. I believed that there was a Santa Claus, and Santa Claus was bringing me gifts. I believed that the Tooth Fairy was going to bring me money and put it under my pillow. I believed that the Easter Bunny brought eggs um, and laid them out there in the yard. So, with those same principles and belief systems, I was also told that someone died for me when I was a little girl, and some sin that I didn't commit, but someone died for me, and that I am a worm in the dust. I mean, I was told all of these things. So as I was growing up, then those belief systems were outdated, just like the Santa Claus theory and the Easter Bunny theory and leprechaun theory, and all of those theories. Okay. Well, the leprechaun theory, some individuals still believe in the leprechaun theory. But the other theories, all right, so what concept of a higher power works for you? Now, now that you are older, okay, even if, you could be as old as 15 or 12, what works for you that was not working when you were 8? If you're 20, what works for you now that did not work when you were 19 and a half? If you're 60, what works for you now as opposed to what worked for you when you were 12? Okay? So the concept, it's a concept that you work with. Okay? It's not a concept for someone else. It's a functional, practical concept or a functional principle that you can work with in your daily life that will make a profound difference in your life. Maybe in small increments, but yet and still, the increments of positivity and moving forward is better. The small increments are much better than no increment at all. Is that not right? Okay. Um, can you trust God as you can you trust God as you conceive of God? The concept that you have of God, do you trust God? The concept that you have of your higher power. Based upon that concept and idea that you have, can you trust your higher power? Is your higher power trustworthy? Nobody. I mean, you answer the question in your head. It's your answer. Nobody's judging you. All right. This is self-esteem and personal growth. That's what this whole lesson is about. Self-esteem and personal growth. All right. Uh, do you feel that your higher power have your best interest at heart? Is your higher power punishing and vengeful? Is it forgiving and loving? Well, once upon a time, I didn't believe. I believed that higher power was vengeful because that's what my grandmother taught me. That God was a punishing God. Well, I loved my grandmother. My grandmother wasn't going to steer me in the wrong direction intentionally, and so that's what she believed. And so when I became a woman at the age of 35 is when I, well, for me it was twofold. It was working the principles of the steps and then working new thought. So with me, it was like double dipping. All right. So I had to have it was like a concentrated getting it, because it was a lot of undoing had to be done. So it was coming this way and coming that way, and hear this, read that, do this lecture, that class, this meeting, that sponsor, this. All right. And it sounds like it was like quick, but it really wasn't quick. It was very slow, but it was a lot of new information coming at me at once, and it needed to be, if I was going to be of service and use to the community, which I didn't realize it at the time, that I needed a lot of concentrated, I needed intensive care. I'll put it that way. Okay. Can you trust your higher power as your best friend? If you had a best friend, or if you have a best friend, and whatever concept of a best friend mean to you, well, do you trust your higher power to be as dependable as a best friend? If not, then what would it take for your higher power to be in the category of a best friend? Okay. Does your higher power have human power? What sort of higher power will help work. What sort of higher power would work for you to help you recover? Okay, recover from an illness, recover from a divorce, recover from gaining custody of your child, recovering from a death or sudden illness in the family, recovering from small business, trying to have your own business, recover. So, what sort of higher power, conscious wise, what image of a higher power would work for you to recover? Okay. Um, are you willing to continue with the steps in order to discover and build a working relationship with your higher power? Are you? Step 3 is where we plant our hope for recovery in the fertile soil of faith. We commit ourselves to the weeding and watering necessary for it to take root and to grow in faith that is built on practical experience. As long as we keep nurturing it with an open mind, we can be sure that it will keep growing until it bears the fruit of faith. And faith really works. Let's see. Let's start looking at the step by asking ourselves, what does it mean to make a decision? Walk into the produce section. You make a decision on what you want to eat. Me, personally, when I walk into the produce section, it's cabbage, collard greens, potatoes, carrots, salad, because I love veggies, and olives from the deli bar. Okay? Not olives in a can or olives in the bottle. No. Olives from the deli bar, because they have different types of olives: peppered olives, stuffed olives with cream cheese, stuffed olives with pimentos, black olives, several different types of olives. Olives in olive oil, mushrooms, it all, you name it. All right. So now, the Latin root of the word decide means to cut away. Thus, when we make a decision, we cut away the alternatives and commit ourselves to a single course of action. We take to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. When we turn our will over, it means that we choose to stop living on self-will. We choose to be guided by the steps instead. And when we turn our lives over, it means that we stop trying to decide what the outcome would be. Okay? And we stop trying and we stop doing whatever it takes to force something to happen. Instead, we simply act according to the principles we learn through the steps, and then we trust that the outcome will be good. Thus far, the principles that we have looked at are honesty, hope, and now faith. I want to move on because the following confession comes from what might be called the great acceptance. There is a power greater than I am. I am going to trust it. This power is reaching out to me and placing me in its protection. The power in me is alive and energetic, and so am I. I'll say it again. And it reads as follows. There is a power greater than I am, and I'm going to trust it. This power is reaching out to me, placing me in its protection. The power in me is alive and energetic, and so am I. Okay. I got so much stuff here. Spirituality produces in us qualities such as love, honesty, patience, tolerance, compassion, a sense of detachment, faith, and hope. Mind cure. I knew I wasn't going to leave until I got to the mind cure part. Because that's what New Thought is, that's what metaphysics is, that's what the steps are, that's what the 12 spiritual powers are about, that's what self-help is all about, motivation, spirituality, growth, all of that is mind cure. Warren Felt Evans, December 23rd, 1817 through 1889, was an American author of the New Thought movement. Why do I keep talking about New Thought? Because the fundamental, basic foundation of 12 steps is metaphysics. Metaphysics. The concept of New Thought, sometimes known as higher thought, promotes the ideas that God is, or that higher power is everywhere, which higher power is everywhere. And spirit is the totality of real things. True human selfhood is divine. Divine thought is a force for good, and the sickness originates in the mind, and that right thinking, it has healing effect. Mind cure, ideas that or God is everywhere, spirit is everywhere, and if you're sick, then somewhere, well, the belief system is that those that feel that they are sick, then they are sick in the mind. But let's just keep it in the recovery aspect. Mind cure. As we know, an addiction is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it also is a physical dependency and a mental obsession. So if it's a mental obsession, then that's where the mind cure piece comes in, okay? Because we want to have a healthy life, a positive life, and we want to reap the benefits on some level to recover the livelihood that we have. So if spirituality is related to mental health, and if spiritual practices, beliefs, and experiences are important in life of the mental health, then it is only natural that we should include spirituality in mind cure. For example, the Bhagavad Gita, the Buddhist, the Native American, the Christian, the Muslim, the Quran, and other passages can be profitably used to help cope with life's situation. The spiritual concepts are incorporated in the 12 steps, the 12-step spiritual support groups. 7 of the 12 steps are spiritual. Out of the 12, 7 are spiritual. We owe a great debt of gratitude to the 12-step community, not only for the good that they are doing for those who so particularly need their help, but for what they are doing for all of us. We all need the same confidence, the same faith, and the same trust in this life that the alcoholic needs. Another step in this procedure, and a very important one, is to learn to trust what we cannot trace. Learn to trust what we cannot trace. To learn that for tomorrow and its needs, we do not need to pray, but make us to do thy will, dear God, just for today. What else? Okay, questions and answers. While I'm waiting on questions and answers, then I'm going to share the PowerPoint. I'm going to try. Now, she told me, Reverend Sherry, when you get to watch this, let's hope that your suggestion follows. You told me to go into, screen share. Here it is, screen share. Okay, you said to go here. Okay, share. Okay, I hope you all can see this. Welcome to Lessons with Reverend Barbara, brought to you by Bi-Weekly. Okay, well, I don't want to go there. Okay, today we did the meditation, right? Hello. It's not moving. Oh, there it is. Then we did the meditation. I don't see it. What was? Oh, okay, slow. Okay, then that was the meditation we did. All right, and then here are the principles. Okay, step 3 in the impact of faith, and these are the principles: honesty, hope. Step 3 is faith. This is where we are. 2 weeks from today, we will be on step 4, which is courage. Step 5 is integrity. See, we could use these in our everyday life. Willingness. Step 7 is humility. Step 8 is brotherly love. Step 9 is justice. Step 10 is perseverance. Okay, I don't see the camera. I can only hope that it means. Then here is faith. Can you see faith? Remember the acronym? Forwarding all issues to higher power. Next is, come on. Traditional step 3 made a decision to turn my life and will over to the care of God as we understood Him. And the law is the law of action. The step principle is faith. Spiritual gift is faith. The books were James, and they were James 1:26, as well as the book of James chapter 2 verses 10. We did 11, but I forgot to put it in there. 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24, and 26. Am I still on? Yeah. Okay. Then we have the law of action. Why is it so slow? We have the law of action. The law of action is one of the most overlooked of the universal laws. You must take action to get what you desire. You cannot bring what you want into being without taking action. Start moving in the direction of your desires, and then the doors will start to open, but you first must make the first move. If nothing happens, then nothing happens. Nothing cures fear faster than action. Making a decision. There will be several doors for you to walk through. It is up to you to make the decision as to which door you want to walk through. What does it mean to make a decision? Only you can answer that question. How do you know if you've made one? Meditation, prayer, and meditation. That's how you're going to know that you made a decision. Earlier on, you heard me talking about the order of the Ten Commandments and how they vary from Hebrew to Christianity. Okay, my note is, could it be that Moses and God, or Yohevah, were on the same frequency? Was English spoken on the planet at that time? Of course not. God speaks many languages. God meets you where you are in consciousness and in heart. So as you can see, first of all, you shall not commit murder. Over here, you shall not have no other gods before me. Okay, so that's one. Number 2, you shall not commit adultery. Number 2, this is the Hebrew one. And over here, the Christian and or Catholicism one is thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. So that was the whole point I was trying to make. They're in different order. Okay. Then we have Mind Cure, was just talking about Mind Cure, which really helps. This concept really comes into play when it comes down to changing one's thinking, when it comes down to um, self-help. Okay, the concept of new thought, sometimes called higher thought, promotes the idea that infinite intelligence or God is everywhere. Spirit is the totality of all things. True human selfhood is divine. Divine thoughts is a force for good. Sickness originates in the mind, and right thinking has a healing effect. Mind cure ideas that infinite intelligence or God is everywhere. Spirit is the only reality of anything. True human selfhood is divine. Divine thought is a force for good. Sickness originates in the mind, and right thinking has a healing effect. I also remember we gave accolades to Bill and Bob, Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson. We owe a great debt of gratitude to you, sirs, to the 12-step community, not only for the good that you have done to those who are participating in the program, but for your continued help. You planted a seed, and so now that seed is to this very day still helping not only those with an alcohol or drug problem, but those with any other kind of issues that needs to be addressed. As I asked earlier, are there any questions? Any? Okay. Call to action. Do not laugh at my little Tweety bird. This is, I wanted my own little Tweety bird, and he's call to action. Tweet, 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 tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. Oh, call to action. Number one, there are three. Number one, identify one situation in your life. I said one. Identify one situation in your life that you are willing to turn over to your higher power. Two, practice faith by turning it over, whatever the situation is. Three, remain calm through meditation. Breathe. Remain calm through meditation. Okay? And that is the general idea. That is the general idea. I can only hope, wait a minute, stop screen sharing. Stop screen sharing. The camera's back. Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Sherry. This does work. You are right. Thank you. Okay, so since there are no questions, and I am about to sign off. No questions? Nothing? What? You mean to tell me I did that good of a job? I didn't do anything. God did it. Believe me when I tell you. Okay, having all of that said, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the very presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. This is so, and so it is. Thank you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Peace and blessings now and always.